Okay, so for the next step, we're going to sew our side seam. So what we need to do for that is we need to get both pieces and we need to lay one of the pieces, making sure both are actually this way up, okay, with your lines that you've drawn on at the top. Get one of those pieces and put it face up. Okay, so that means the design you want on the outside is facing upwards. And then you get the other piece. Okay, remember to make sure these lines are at the top, and we place this on top exactly. So we're trying to line them up exactly face down. Okay, so the outsides of our bag should be facing each other inside there. We're going to get some pins, and we need to pin along one edge. At this point, I'm doing it on the right side. So remember, pins halfway in and then bring it through to the other side. Okay, and now we're ready to go to the machine and stitch a straight line down there. Okay, so I've already threaded the machine. If you can't remember how to thread the machine, then you'll need to go back and watch step 2 at the start of that video. I show you how to thread the machine. Okay, so we need to make sure that our stitch width is on 0, so this outside dial, for straight stitch, and we also need to make sure that the stitch length is on 2.5. And the way we adjust that is by twisting to the correct number. Okay, so I've got my machine all set up. I've also got a pin cushion here with me to put my pins into as soon as I take them out. And I have some scissors here just to cut some threads if I need to. Okay, so what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to take my fabric. I'm going to take my first pin out because it's quite close to the start. And I'm going to line up my fabric so that my presser foot goes down on top of the fabric with the needle right near the end, and also with my fabric lined up against this line. So hopefully you can see the markings on the machine here. I'm going to use the first line and I'm going to keep my fabric in line with that the whole way along as I sew. Okay, so I'm just going to do a couple of stitches forward. Once I've done a few stitches forward, I'm going to hold this up to make the stitching go in reverse, and I'm just going to reverse over the top of the stitching I've just done, and then I'll stop once I've got back to the start of my fabric, and I'm going to just keep going straight all the way to the end. When I get to the end, I'm going to again reverse, hold this up and reverse just a couple stitches at the end to lock in my stitching. Okay, when that's done, I raise my presser foot. I'm going to use the cutter to cut my threads, and I should have a nice line of stitching all the way along, and just check the underneath as well to make sure that that's nicely done. Okay, now I'm just going to trim the threads that I've just been sewing with on either end. And then now these two pieces, my two pieces are joined with the side seam. Okay, now I need to head over to the iron. Okay, here I am at the ironing board, and I've just waited a couple minutes for my iron to heat up, and I'm going to open up my material that I've sewn together, and I'm going to actually just open up the seam that I've just sewn, and being very careful, I'm going to iron the seam. I'm going to iron the seam open so that it sits open and flat like that. I'm just going to make sure my fabric's also nice and iron flat. I'm also going to make sure that I turn my iron off at the wall when I'm finished that step. Okay, now using straight stitch, I'm going to stitch along the edge, right as close as I can in a straight line along the edge of both sides. So these flaps are stitched down. Ensuring that I go backwards and forwards at the beginning and the end. Making sure I use the hand wheel to get this thread guide to the highest position every time I stop sewing. And now you can see that that is now stitched down. And if you look on the other side, you see you can actually see that stitching. So it's very important to try and pick a color that either hides well in the fabric or is a contrasting color if that's something you want to make a feature.